So, focusing on skills is a bad idea, unfortunately. But why that is, and why is it so common? And truly, the best alternative would be to focus on results, learn what you need to do them, and only focus on skills if you can learn as you go. If you're not acting this way, then it's pretty likely that you're acting out of fear, or possibly boredom, or someone is grifting you. Even skills that take a long time to pick up, as long as the stakes are acceptable, then you don't have to worry about it that much. There are exceptions, so we can have the high stakes and time sensitive category. And in here we can have elements such as swimming, perhaps, if you are concerned about possibly falling into the water and not knowing how to swim, or first aid. And not even first aid that would be like on the band-aid level, but something that might save someone's life. Now, certainly you can make the argument that there could be a lot of skills that are useful in the moment, but you can learn as you go. So, for example, a lot of people might have social anxiety, but how do you get better at being social? By talking to people, right? And if the stakes are perceived to be high, then you might actually avoid that. You try to essentially get good at swimming without ever swimming. And of course, the solution to that would be just try to get used to swimming in this case. But most things really don't fall into this category. So this is more of an outlier. So any kind of stakes, any kind of time sensitive constraints are artificial. What you should do is just focus on it as much as you can. Try to do something with it. So I guess the categories would look like this. We have high stakes and time sensitive. We have priority. We have just in case. And most people seem to be trapped in this zone. You're learning things that could be falling into the useless camp. Yet, it's very important to make a distinction between just in case and high stakes time sensitive. Knowing how tall Mount Everest is, just for sake of argument, is not going to be in the same category as knowing how to swim when your life could depend on it. So, just for the sake of moving fast, we are entirely disregarding just in case and useless. You can tell yourself whatever, it doesn't really matter. Even if you make the argument that maybe just in case is gonna be useful, right? But, I mean, priority is certainly more useful and more satisfying. There's a huge business in trying to just teach you things, try to make you insecure, and try to impose themselves as some kind of mentor. Even though you're absolutely worse for it. If you just completely ignore them and just did your thing, almost certainly that would kind of slow, but that is how you make progress. Yet, let's just continue with priority here. Yet, I'm making a very sharp distinction between how most things happen in our world. Essentially, the mindset here is that you want to do X thing, and you get and learn whatever it takes to do it. Instead of just learning things just in case, it's gonna be useful eventually. Although, it's a terrible way to learn, because you're gonna forget it. So, if you wanna learn things, then you need them, and you need to be interested. That's it. Otherwise, you're utterly wasting your time. Yet, possibly most importantly, especially if you're an adult already, then the whole point, you can just learn because, like, I guess you're just for fun, right? But we're kind of like disregarding that. In this particular case, you're kind of like learning things with the goal of doing something with it, right? Yet if you're just learning just in case, then you never get there. You're never really aiming for the goal. Now, in the realm of priority, there could be mentors who might take you from A to B the fastest. And I'm not disregarding that. But you also have to make sure that B is where you want to go, not where they want to take you for a prize. Because if you want to do something that has been done before many times, then it would make sense to at least copy. Maybe not copy, just see what others have done. But many times you might be doing something that is kind of original. Like, just for sake of argument, who can teach me to make exactly this video? No one. Even I don't know what I'm gonna do. Who can teach me to make my next video? No one. Even I cannot teach myself. I'm gonna figure it out. A very key takeaway. Very, very key. Let's say I choose to make a software. Who can teach me that? No one. I don't know how to make it. No one can teach me how to make it. I have to figure it out. Let's say I want to write a book. Who can teach me to write that book? No one. Again. I can't even teach myself. I have to figure it out as I go. So, no one can teach you to do what you want. Not even you. Only perhaps what they have done. So at best, we can make the argument that possibly they can take you like over here. No one can take you to B. I'm not even sure how far they can take you. Even if, let's suppose, someone might be able to take you farther. You might not want that because figuring things out is part of the game, right? So, I guess one mindset would be that one student wants to be handheld as long as they can be, right? Another mindset would be that you want to be handheld as little as possible. You want to break off as soon as you can. Ideally, and this would be the goal, you never need it. Or ideally don't need any human to handhold you. If you can use AI and you can use online documentation, that's it. Obviously, in my case, the point I'm arguing for would be like you're still getting help, right? You can argue that, yeah, AI kind of using human knowledge and all the documentation was written by someone, possibly videos, obviously they were made by someone, but you don't have an active mentor here. And most of all, you're not really stuck in the passive mindset that, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be watching someone. Like, yeah, that's not it. You gotta do it. So, suppose, to use a simpler example, like who taught me photo editing? Who taught me use image editing software? And the answer, again, big surprise, would be no one. I just downloaded it one day and kept using it, and if I needed a feature, then I just looked it up. Even though you can argue that in this case, there are a lot of guidance online, but are they wasting your time? There are so many platforms out there, they're all so eager to teach you. But wouldn't you be wasting your time? I mean, best case scenario, you are learning exactly what you need right now. And in that case, you're probably going to remember it. But if you're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this, maybe I'm gonna need it someday. No, in some aspect, this could be just useful to have a higher level overview, but it certainly wouldn't be a lengthy undertaking in this case. You can just look at the things like, oh yeah, we could do that. But also, it doesn't matter. It only matters when you need it. And if you don't proceed like this, then you will spend your time doing things that don't matter and being grifted by those who probably want to rip you off. So, other skins don't tend to translate to results, even if you actually believe that. But another very important point that we need to touch on is that you don't even know if it's good. Let us suppose that you, for sake of argument, you spent 10 years learning something, and then the day one of putting it to the metal, you realize that it all sucks. If you didn't spend those 10 years, you would be better off right now. Not just the time wasted, but actually you mislearned the thing. Instead of do and learn, you pretty much follow the get lost harder philosophy. And I must emphasize, this is such a stark contrast, because you know it works because you got paid, or you know it works because it's obvious with your own two eyes. Compared to, you know it works, no would be a strong word here, because they told you, just like, yeah, memorize that, remember that, although you probably wouldn't. So you might spend your time learning something that doesn't even matter, you don't even remember it, and it's not even right. If you're shy of chasing priority, then you're probably just afraid and insecure. You cannot possibly do the thing. You can only do it if you listen to others for many years. And then people might just go online and talk to each other. Oh yeah, I'm still trying to get ready for this thing. I already spent like 5 years. It's like, okay, what about you? I'm still getting ready for like 10 plus years. That's so good. And what about you? Yeah, I already did it. Like, yeah, it's like 1 week, I did all that you guys are trying to do. Okay, that guy must be like or something, right? Okay, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but the point is, only time spent doing matters. If you're not sold yet, then why would you be trying to get the skills, right? To do something with it. So why not just start with the doing and get the skills that way? It's gonna be so much more fun too. And effective. So I'm taking a very stark and sharp opposition to essentially what this world tries to be. And what it tries to sell you on is that, oh yeah, you need me, I'm the YouTuber, you must listen to me. Or, oh yeah, come to our learning platform, listen to me. Oh yeah, come to our class, listen to me. More than ever, we live in a world where you can just like, I want to do that thing. I'm gonna open up AI on my other screen and like, we're gonna figure it out. I might even need that guy. And when it comes to recent things, but especially unique things, no one can teach you. Well, yeah, recent things, sure. You might have someone who's kind of on it, but perhaps not in the direction you're kind of interested in. Yet, to clarify, I'm not saying that you're some kind of all-knowing submarine, right? Clearly, I would be proposing to learn from everyone, but not passively. Just try to do your thing and use their knowledge when it's relevant. And in that way, you will actually care, and you will remember. The last point that I must touch on, that if you go like this, then actually you have an excellent way to measure progress, because you just look at the results. If you go with like just in case nonsense, then like, oh yeah man, I'm keeping real busy, or like, oh yeah, I learned that thing, I'm keeping real busy, oh yeah, I do that thing. I mean, even doing, I don't have a lot of faith in doing. I care about results. So if you tell me like, oh yeah, I mean, working with that thing for months, it's like, okay, that means nothing. Or, oh yeah, I was learning that thing, so good. Like, yeah, that means nothing. So keeping busy doesn't matter. So, to use an example, for clarification, let's suppose that you aspire to be a writer. Now, what could be a good thing to do? Let's say that you write one book per month. Now, will those books suck? Maybe. But at least you got something tangible. You are producing results. But if you spend like 10 years just perfecting your perfect book, I could be really busy with my perfect book. It's gotta be such a good book. And maybe you're not gonna release in 10 years because it's gotta be a magnum opus so good. So it's gotta take like 15 years. And let's say that at one point you might release it, or who knows, and release it and no one cares. It sucks. And you actually have learned nothing. If you release a book that first month, that would have been a better book than your magnum opus. So suppose you cannot have big results, because if you wrote a book and you made like $1 billion with it, yeah, that's fair enough. You convinced me, but suppose you can't have that, then at least you want quantity with improvement. So you might tell yourself that, oh yeah, I'm a really good writer, I like to believe that. Or, oh, I'm really focusing on the right skills, I would like to believe that. But it means nothing, right? You know what would mean something? Having 2 of your books in the top 10. That would convince me. So if you're focusing on results, then effectively, you can't cope. Also, what you almost certainly come to realize that A to B kind of looks like this. So you go from A and very slowly go to B, and there's like there's more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So yeah, I'm not sure if it ever's gonna run out. So it pretty much goes to infinity. So it might take thousands of hours just to get your feet wet. But of course, if you go just in case, then you would not know this. You might go maybe at most to this point, and then call yourself a polymath, I guess. And if you want to make the argument, then we can expand on the high-stakes, time-sensitive skills. Like, you can argue social skills belong there. Not in every category, certainly. But you might find yourself in social situations where not getting it right would be with consequences. In fact, if you want to expand it, then we can say that, fitness matters here, right? So that's pretty much it. Just do the thing that matters or waste your time.